Angel Reese, you know her. You love her. She's a beast on the court, leading LSU to a championship and becoming the biggest name in women's basketball. But her jump shot ain't the only thing making headlines these days. Reese jumped headfirst into the world of podcasting with Unapologetically Angel, a show all about her life, her thoughts, and her journey as a young star. Problem is, the podcast, much like a busted play, is looking like a turnover waiting to happen. Turns out her podcast network, Playmaker HQ, is a subsidiary of Better Collective, and they're bleeding money faster than a ref calls fouls on Angel in the paint. And y'all know what happens when the money dries up, chaos ensues. Now, Angel's facing a financial storm, and her podcast, which was supposed to be her cash cow, might be the first casualty. Stick around, folks, because this is about to get real interesting. Let's talk about Better Collective for a second. They're supposed to be this big-time media company, valued at a whopping $820 million. They're the folks behind Playmaker HQ, the network that was supposed to make Angel Reese podcast rich. But here's the kicker. Better Collective is struggling. And I'm not talking about missing a few free throws, I'm talking about going 0 for the season from the field. Their stock price plummeted by 36.5%. They're staring down a $75 million shortfall in projected profits. They laid off over 100 employees, which is never a good look. Basically, they're in a financial earthquake, and the aftershocks are hitting Angel Reese's podcast hard. Now let's be clear, Angel Reese ain't hurting for money like the average Joe. She's got her WNBA salary, which, depending on who you ask, is somewhere between $75,000 and $777,000 a year. That's a nice chunk of change, no doubt. But Angel's got a taste for the finer things in life. She's living large in a swanky pad that costs a cool $100,000 a year in rent. That's right, folks, $100,000. Now I'm all for treating yourself when you're on top, but even with her WNBA checks, that's a whole lot of dough to be shelling out. Apparently not. So, Angel's banking on her podcast to be her financial safety net, her ticket to the big leagues of wealth. The idea was simple. Leverage her fame, talk about her life, get sponsors, and watch the money roll in. Problem is, the podcast game ain't as easy as it looks. Unapologetically, Angel is estimated to be pulling in somewhere between $5,200 and $82,800 a month. That's a wide range, and with Better Collective circling the drain, who knows how long those checks will keep coming. Silence on the airwaves, the content crisis. Here's the other issue with podcasts. You gotta keep people listening. Sponsors only care if you've got an audience, and right now, Angel's audience might be tuning out. See, podcasts need that juicy content, that captivating storytelling that keeps folks coming back for more. The WNBA season is over, and while Angel's life is far from boring, it might not be the captivating content that keeps sponsors happy and the money flowing. And let's be real, even big names like Meghan Markle and the Obamas have struggled to make a splash in the podcast world. Having a famous name ain't enough, you gotta bring the heat every single episode. Social media sounds off. Now you know the internet never misses a chance to chime in, and Angel's financial woes are no exception. Social media is buzzing with folks questioning her money moves. Some are calling her out for what they see as bad financial planning, saying she should have known better than to rely so heavily on a podcast, especially with Better Collective's troubles. Others are criticizing her spending habits. They're saying that $100,000 a year in rent is excessive, even for a star athlete. They're saying she needs to learn to live within her means, regardless of how much she's making. Experts weigh in. What was she thinking? And it's not just the peanut gallery on social media. Financial experts are shaking their heads too. They're saying Angel's strategy was risky at best, relying on a single income stream, especially one as unpredictable as a podcast, is a recipe for disaster. They're saying she should have diversified her income, explored other business ventures, and most importantly, saved for a rainy day. Because right now, it's pouring. Lessons learned? Hopefully. This whole situation is a cautionary tale, not just for Angel Reese, but for any young athlete or celebrity riding high on success. It's a reminder that fame and fortune can be fleeting, and that financial responsibility is crucial no matter how much money you're making. Hopefully, Angel can turn this situation around. Maybe she can renegotiate her podcast deal, find new sponsors, or create even more captivating content that brings in the listeners. Maybe she'll realize that living within her means, while not as glamorous, is a whole lot less stressful in the long run. What's next for Angel Reese? What's next for Angel Reese? That's the million-dollar question, literally. She's got some tough decisions to make. Does she stick with the podcast and try to weather the storm? Does she scale back her lifestyle and find ways to cut costs? One thing's for sure. Angel Reese is a fighter. She's proven that on the court time and time again. Now she's got to prove it off the court in the real world, where financial fouls have real consequences.